Welcome to Alien's Shadow. If you love epic sci-fi stories where humanity shines, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for thrilling HFY adventures. Join us and be part of the journey. The wounded rebel in the ash field, the ash fell slowly from the sky like soft snow. The battlefield was quiet now. Only the wind moved through the broken towers and burned metal. Elias, a human soldier in dark armor, walked carefully through. The rubble, he was alone, separated from his unit after a blast shook the ground. Smoke stung his eyes, but his ears stayed sharp, listening for any sound. His boots crunched over cracked stone. The city had once belonged to the alien royal caste, but now it was nothing but ruins. His orders were simple: search for survivors, gather tech, return by nightfall. But war never followed rules, and this place felt wrong, like something was watching him. Then he heard it, a whisper, weak and soft. "Please. Don't leave me." Elias stopped, heart pounding. He raised his plasma rifle, turned toward the sound, and saw movement near a half-collapsed column. He stepped closer and spotted her. An alien woman lay in the ash, chained to a metal post. Her skin was silver blue, her veins glowing softly with faint green light. Blood leaked from her side, and her long hair clung to her dirt-covered face. She looked half-conscious, eyes barely open. But they locked on Elias with silent pleading. He aimed his rifle at her. "Identify yourself," he said firmly. She coughed weakly and whispered, "Rebel." "Not with the Queen." "I tried to stop this." Elias hesitated. Every soldier was warned alien rebels were dangerous, could be traps, but she didn't look like a threat. She looked like she was dying. Her voice trembled. "If you leave me here, I'll die in chains." Her hand reached out and grabbed his wrist. Her fingers were cold but strong. "I don't want to be a weapon. Please. Help me." He looked around, then lowered his rifle slightly. "What's your name?" "Ha?" he asked. "Arena," she whispered. "I was part of the resistance. They found me and chained me here for the humans to kill." Elias kneeled. Cutting the chain with a torch blade, she gasped as he lifted her into his arms, weak but holding on tightly as he moved. She whispered something close to his ear. "If you save me, I'll make you happy forever." Elias didn't answer, just carried her carefully through the ruins. They found a broken transport shelter with some working shields. He laid her on a soft cargo mat and gave her water. She winced as she drank, then looked up at him with soft, glowing eyes. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Elias didn't know how to answer. Maybe it was her voice. Maybe it was the way she clung to life. Maybe it was something in her eyes that felt familiar. "You're not my enemy," he said quietly. "That's all that matters right now." She smiled faintly, then winced in pain. "Don't talk," Elias said. "Save your strength." He took out a medkit and began sealing the wound on her side. She held his arm tightly, her breathing shallow. "No one's ever touched me without fear," she whispered. "Even my own kind." Elias paused, looking at her. "You don't scare me," he said. "I've seen worse." She laughed softly. But it turned into a cough. Still, her hand didn't let go of his. She closed her eyes, holding it like a promise. That night, as wind howled outside the broken shelter, Elias sat by her side, his rifle ready, but his eyes kept going back to her face. Even in pain, she looked peaceful now, like she finally had hope. And for the first time in months, so did he. The war had taken everything: his team, his sleep, his purpose. But this rebel, this strange, beautiful creature with fire in her voice and fear in her eyes, she made him feel something again. He didn't know if he could trust her, didn't know if she was using him, but when her fingers tightened around his hand in sleep, he didn't pull away, because in this world of ash and blood, one soft voice whispering "Don't leave me" was the only thing that felt real. And Elias wasn't ready to let go. She was hunted by her own kind. The storm outside grew louder. Wind slamming against the cracked shelter walls inside. Elias sat near the edge of the old transport hull, one hand on his rifle, the other still held by Arena. She hadn't let go, even in sleep, when her body shivered from the cold he covered her with his jacket without a word. But peace never stayed long in war. A sharp beep from his wrist scanner made Elias flinch. He checked it quickly. 3 heat signatures were closing in. Not human. They were moving fast. Tracking something or someone. Arena opened her eyes, her voice hoarse. "They found me," she said, her voice shaking. "They're not soldiers. They're hunters." Sent by the Queen, Elias stood up at once, pulling her gently to her feet. "We have to move," he said. "Can you walk?" "I'll try," she whispered, gripping his arm for support. He helped her outside. The air thick with ash and cold. They moved slowly, every step loud against broken stone. Behind them, shadows moved between ruins. Not machines, living things. Tall and armored, with red lights glowing from under helmets. Arena stumbled, crying out in pain. Elias caught her, hiding them behind a broken pillar. She looked up at him, terrified. "If they catch me, they'll tear the truth from my mind. Then erase me." Elias stared at her. "What truth?" She took a shaking breath. The war started because the Queen saw a future she couldn't control. She fears humans not because of their weapons, but because of their hearts. People like you. People who show mercy. The words hit Elias hard. His whole life, he'd been trained to fight, to win, to survive. But no one ever said mercy could be stronger than fire. More footsteps, closer now. Arena clutched his hand tightly, her eyes glowing brighter as fear grew inside her. "I know a way out," she whispered. "Old tunnels under the city, used by rebels. I can lead you. But you have to trust me." He didn't answer with words. He pulled her close, wrapped one arm around her back, and helped her run. They moved fast, dodging between crumbled walls, climbing over broken statues and scorched glass. Finally, they reached a cracked stairway beneath a shattered dome. Arena pressed her hand against a panel in the wall. Ancient tech, lighting up with her touch. A hidden door hissed open, revealing a dark tunnel below. They slipped inside just as the hunters passed overhead. In the tunnel, the light was low and the air was damp. Elias pulled a small lamp from his belt and lit the path. Their footsteps echoed off stone and metal. "I grew up in places like this," Arena said softly. "I was raised to be quiet, to obey, to kneel, but I ran because I saw others suffer. People like me, dying for a throne that never cared." Elias looked at her, watching her speak through pain. Her strength wasn't in her body, was in her spirit. She could barely walk, but she still moved forward. And in her eyes, even through fear, there was something burning hope. They reached a hidden rest area, old rebel ground, filled with dust and broken crates. Elias checked for danger, then helped her lie down again. She looked at him with tired eyes. "You saved me twice." "Now," she whispered. "Why?" He sat beside her, voice low. "Because I don't want to be a weapon either. And I don't think you're lying." Arena smiled weakly. "No one believed me before." He gave her water, touched her shoulder gently. "I do now." He said. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the quiet hum of the old tunnel. Then Arena reached into the band around her waist and pulled out a small, glowing crystal. "This is why they want me dead," she said. "This crystal holds the map to every royal base, every secret lab, every weak point in their empire." Elias looked at it, then at her. "If that's true, we could end this war." She nodded. "But if I fall into the wrong hands, they'll use it to control the galaxy." Elias clenched his jaw. The weight of her words settled deep in his chest. Suddenly, this wasn't just about saving one life. It was about choosing a future. Arena leaned her head against his shoulder. "I don't want power," she whispered. "I just want to live. With someone who sees me, not my blood." Elias didn't speak, but he reached for her hand again. This time, he was the one holding on tight in the darkness of that old tunnel. Hunted by both alien and human sides, two broken souls made a quiet promise. They would run, they would fight, and together they might just change everything. The deal that could end everything. Asterix rain poured down over the ruins above. But deep inside the old tunnels, the air stayed dry and cold. Elias leaned against the stone wall, watching Arena sleep under a thermal blanket. Her breathing was uneven, shallow, like the pain was growing inside her. He knew the wound wasn't healing right. The medkit wasn't enough anymore. He stood and moved to a COM panel, pulling out a small transmitter. His fingers hovered over the button 1 call. And command would send help, but they'd also take. Arena, chain her, question her, maybe even erase her. Was she worth the risk? He looked back at her glowing veins, dim, lips pale, even like this. She was the most alive thing in the war-ravaged world around him. She made the ruins feel human again. His thumb pressed the button. "This is Elias," he said quietly. "Found. Alien rebel. Alive, injured, but talking. She has something important." Static crackled. Then a voice replied, "Hold position, Elias, extraction en route. Do not engage with the target further." He lowered the device, his stomach turning cold. "Do not engage." As if she was just a weapon, not a person. Suddenly, he heard a soft voice behind him. "You're calling them, aren't you?" He turned, finding Arena sitting up slowly, pain in her eyes. "I should have known." She whispered, "I felt it the moment you hesitated to hold my hand." "Arena, wait." He stepped forward, but she flinched. "I trusted you," she said, her voice breaking. "I told you everything. I gave you the crystal. You said I wasn't your enemy." He wanted to explain, to tell her it wasn't like that. But nothing he said could erase the betrayal in her face. Her hands trembled as she reached into her pouch, pulling the crystal back out. "Here," she said, placing it on the ground between them. "Take it. Give it to them. Be their hero." Elias didn't move. Irana leaned against the wall, tears running down her cheeks. "You were different," she said. "You looked at me like I was more than blood and code. I wanted to believe you." Elias slowly walked to her. Kneeling, he picked up the crystal, then reached into his belt and crushed the transmitter under his boot. The small device sparked and died. Arena looked at him, shocked. "What are you doing?" He handed her back the crystal. "I made a mistake," he said. "I thought I had to choose between you and peace, but now I know they're the same." She stared at him, stunned. Elias took her hand again, firmer this time. "I don't care what they think," he said. "If I walk out of here with you, I'm a traitor. But if I walk away from you, I lose the only truth I've found in this war." Her lips parted, barely breathing. "You'd give up your rank for me?" "I'm not giving anything up," he said. "I'm choosing something better." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then she leaned into him, resting her forehead against his. "Then I'll give you everything," she whispered. "My people, my path, my future." Sirens howled in the distance. The sound of ships scanning the area. Arena looked toward the tunnel's far end. "We can still escape," she said. "I know a passage, but we have to go now." Elias nodded, helping her stand. She winced, but moved quickly, holding his hand tightly. This time, she wasn't just clinging to hope. She was moving with it. They ran through the lower passage, walls dripping with age and moss. Behind them, red lights flickered, drones starting to descend. Arena opened a hidden hatch, and together they slipped into the underground waterway. It stank of rust and oil. But freedom waited at the end. Every splash of their boots echoed like a heartbeat. Every step forward was a step deeper into rebellion, not against a species or a nation but against fear, and for the first time, Elias realized this wasn't just her fight anymore, it was theirs, together. They were no longer a soldier and a target. They were two people who had chosen each other over the orders of war, and that choice might be the one thing that could end it, asterisk her promise in the new world. Asterisk the sky over the frontier colony was bright and wide. Twin suns burned low across the rocky hills, casting long golden shadows across the settlement. Elias stood near a wind tower, watching the horizon as dust swirled around his boots. It had been 6 months since he and Arena vanished from the war zone. 6 months of hiding, running, rebuilding a quiet life in the outer system. He no longer wore armor, no longer carried a soldier's rank. His hands now smelled of soil and solar grease. But every morning, he still woke up expecting gunfire, orders, or betrayal. Instead, he woke up to her. Arena stepped out of their small dome shelter. Her silver skin glowing under the sun, her wounds had healed. Her strength returned. Now she worked as a healer, helping both humans and aliens in the settlement. The people didn't know her past, only that she had a kind touch and a soft voice. She walked up to him, carrying a small bowl of fruit. "You forgot to eat again," she said gently. Elias smiled and took it. "Too busy watching the wind," he replied. They sat together on a flat rock, the colony quiet around them. Children played nearby, laughter in the distance. It was the kind of peace that once felt impossible. Arena looked up at him with calm eyes. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Running with me, giving everything up?" Elias didn't answer right away. He looked at her face, then at the colony, the people living, growing, surviving, and finally, he said, "I gave up war," he said, "but I found a reason to live." Her eyes glistened as she reached into her pouch and pulled out something smaller, crystal. It was not the war map she once carried, but a ceremonial shard, glowing faintly blue. "This is from my homeworld," she whispered, "in my culture. Giving this means one thing. It means I give you my past, and I choose you for my future." Elias looked down at it, heart beating slow and steady. "You're sure?" he asked. "This life, it's dangerous, even here." She nodded. "I was born in chains, raised to obey, trained to kneel. But when you reached for me, you didn't see a prisoner, you saw a person." She stepped closer, placing the shard against his chest. "Now, I choose you. Not because I need saving, but because you're the only one who let me be free." Elias took the shard gently, then held her hands. "I never planned to love anyone again," he said. "But you didn't leave me a choice." They both laughed quietly, forehead to forehead. For a moment, the war, the pain, the running, it all melted away. Suddenly, a scout drone buzzed over the ridge. Both of them stood up quickly, hands ready to run, but the drone passed by, scanning the ground. Then continued without alert. They exhaled, slowly sitting back down. Arena looked toward the hills. "One day, the war will find us again," she said softly. "The Queen's reach is long." Elias nodded. "Then we'll face it together." She smiled, and her eyes held something unbreakable now. "You kept your promise," she said. "You didn't leave me, and you kept yours." He replied, "You made me happy." Night fell slowly over the colony, and stars filled the sky like scattered sparks. Elias and Irena walked back to their shelter, hand in hand. Behind them, children chased firebugs, and music drifted from a distant tent. The world was still broken, but in this small place, love had grown from war, not through power or weapons or blood, but through choice, trust, and something deeper. Arena placed her head on Elias's shoulder as they stepped inside. "If this is peace," she whispered, Then I promised to protect it. And Elias smiled, because her promise was not just words, it was the future he never thought he'd have. The alien rebel who once begged not to be left behind was now the heart of his home. And in that home, happiness had finally found them both forever.